this special interview that we have for the people. Some people have the wrong idea, or maybe they have the right idea, and think that is my arch nemesis or something like that. I don't know where they could possibly get such a thing. My buddy, the one and only West Coast finest, arguably, ChrisCCH. We have him on the line right now. Let's bring him in. What's going on, brother? What's up? What's going on here?
I didn't know I was arch nemesis status now, but I'm doing pretty well.
You definitely are. I mean, it might be one way, but trust me, between recordings, all Rob does is rant and rave about ChrisCCH.
That's all
non-stop.
I do every show.
Every show?
Every show. It's been nonstop,
damn.
Chris. So I'm glad you're here so we can finally squash the beef between you two.
Yeah, Chris, man. So of course we had our 5v5 and everything. Mm-hmm. Everybody think that we hate each other. I have no idea why. I actually think that you're
I wonder why.
I don't know why.
I feel like I don't think it's very confusing as to why people would think that, though.
You don't?
I feel like there's been many things that have been said that would, that have some implications.
Nah, man, it's all competition. So? It's all competition, man.
I guess so.
Yeah, and with that being the case, man, I definitely got to ask. We had our 5v5. So there was a certain chant, a crazy chant. You need Luke. Right? That was I really think that was a crazy FGC trolling historical moment. Obviously, I don't think anyone at all genuinely believed that. You play so many characters for so long. But it's funny in the end of the day. It's hilarious. So, how did you feel about that? How was that moment for you when the crowd got all wild like that?
I think the chant was pretty hilarious, and obviously it's given me some pretty good content out of it too, because I named my my whole 11 challenge Please Be Luke, because Brutus, the god of FGC Twitter, gave that name, and it was just a very clear favorite in the responses. So
yeah,
it's given me some pretty good content. That was all. But even in the moment, I just thought it was funny. You obviously when you're in the match, you can hear stuff going on in the background. You're not really paying attention, so I didn't really realize what they were saying. And then after they chanted it a few times, I heard that there's even in the moment, I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, when the whole crowd gets involved in the chant. But, to be fair, I could beat anyone in that crowd with 11, so it couldn't really get to me that much.
Whoa! Yeah.
Anyone in the crowd that was chanting that, I could definitely beat them with 11.
Honestly, that's true. I was a little bit concerned when the chant was going. I was like, bro, don't power up Chris right now. We're getting by with the skin of our teeth. I was a little bit concerned. I was like, this is about to backfire on us. Yeah, he does play Luke, so be careful.
Be careful.
Exactly. Don't taunt the man. But actually, you brought up your 11 challenge. Why don't you clarify what that is for the people?
Yeah, so that was a pretty simple challenge. I basically just created a new account named Please Be Luke, because obviously I need that character. And the goal was just to take 11. I was only using 11 all the way from Rookie to Grandmaster. It took me I don't remember how many games, but I would say the challenge was a pretty big success. I had a 77% win rate at the end of it. It took me 12 days or something. I almost got to 11 days, which would have been perfect. But
that would have been godlike.
I just decided to play. I think I was salty after losing a WNF or something, so I decided to just play a couple games of the challenge on day 11, and I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have even done this. I should have just skipped this day and then called the day after day 11 so I could get the Grandmaster.
So wait a minute,
it was a huge mistake. But
you mentioned something very strange to me right there. Did you just say you lost at WNF?
I don't remember if I actually lost or if I won WNF and then played played afterwards. I don't actually remember.
That makes more sense to me, because the point I'm bringing up here is you've been extremely dominant in the West Coast for so long now. I mean, every WNF I look at, pretty much, I see ChrisCCH number
even
one. For a while,
the CLG thing now, even CLG.
Yeah.
now.
Oh, that's true. You won the CLG run at Thursdays, I guess, twice in a row now. So you won the first one and the second one. I think you're the only. What is the final tier in the ladder? There's a
the All-Star. I think I'm the only All-Star, and
I
have never seen anyone else get that rank on
the East Coast or even on Stride, bro. I don't even
play that much. No,
oh my god.
Literally, the last time I played 9 games, I played 9 sets. I won all 9 sets, and then I became All-Star.
Right.
Okay, that's not crazy. Wow.
That wasn't
more
even
than
that
just WNF, even the ladder where you actually get to queue up continuously for matches. You're going undefeated right now in the West Coast on a lot of these events. And I think when we were discussing the last season with West Coast happened CPT right away, first event pretty much, right? So we had a lot more build up, I think, on No Neutral with the meta or the current level of the players. For a long time, it was kind of you and nephew going back and forth. And then now, I gotta be honest, I feel like are you just that much better than the West Coast right now? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think me and Samurai are pretty close, but I feel like we're like the two of us are kind of at a higher level than most of the West Coast. Cannot remember the last time I was not in grand finals of a WNF.
So you're saying West Coast is free?
No, I'm saying definitely not saying West Coast is free. First of all,
turncoat, Brian.
As I mentioned, there's a lot of people that don't enter WNF for some reason. Like Filipino Man's not there a lot of the time. Plaquito's not there a lot of the time. Jot's not there a lot of the time.
Oh, so you're saying that they don't support their scene?
Listen, no matter which way you slice it, this was a hit job. We brought you on to take down the West Coast.
We are very busy over here. We have full-time careers. Not everyone can afford to be playing in these long 2-day tournaments. All right, not everyone can afford to be playing on the CLG ladder for 4 hours a day, and then play the 3-hour top 8. These are long tournaments.
Bro,
there's other commitments over here. Not everyone can do it.
You talk about 2-day tournaments, bro. You know, one of the first things that always popped in my mind when you come up is not a 2-day event, but like a event that's months and months long. And I'm not talking about World Warrior. I'm talking about Street Fighter League. So of course you had joined UIU. I think that was that last year?
Yeah, last year. Early last year.
Street Fighter League comes along, and of course, I expected you to be on that team off of common sense, I suppose, in my opinion. But you did not end up being on the team. Honestly, you talk about being salty about losing with Wednesday night fights. Were you salty about that, since you can be transparent now?
I didn't even know Street Fighter League was happening until the teams got announced. So
it's not even like you. Okay.
Yeah, so the teams got announced, and I was like, I didn't even know this was happening. But I guess I'm not on it, so it is what it is. And at first, I was not really that salty because, for those who don't know, I am in college at the moment. So for committing to a very long event like Street Fighter League is kind of a struggle for me. At the end of the day, I understand that invitationals are not all about just it's not all about skill who gets in it. And I know you had a little podcast. You had a little podcast yesterday where I saw that was being discussed. I feel like everyone except IDOM actually knows it, though. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what he was talking about. I'm pretty sure everyone except IDOM knows it's not just skill that gets you into an invitational. So I was like, I can't. I think I definitely had the skill to be on the event, but I couldn't deny that. Especially at that time, I didn't really have a big social media or content presence or anything. So I was like, it is what it is. It's politics at the end of the day.
I think those in the know knew that you would have done work at Street Fighter League that season, but your profile has definitely grown tremendously since then. And I think, from my perspective, I feel like part of that is this event and just in general kind of having a chip on your shoulder, man. I gotta say, you have a take no prisoners attitude when it comes to this fighting game thing, a bit more than myself. Maybe Rob can keep up with you, but you had the Street Fighter League event, and I feel like that cascaded into you taking second place to Nephew frequently, being challenged by Samurai, to eventually dominating all the WNFs, and then Red Bull Kumite. I'm always having flashbacks to my picture being ripped up every single time I walk by a Costco printer. It's traumatized me to this day. But what I want to get your perspective on is, especially gearing up with what Midwest versus West Coast 5v5 is, to me, my perspective is that's not so much of a regional rivalry trying to get respect for the region. I almost see that as the new faces, the new leaders of these regions trying to establish themselves as, hey, we are the top dogs now, and the old guard is gone. They don't enter, they don't play. It's no longer, when you look at West Coast, it's no longer Justin Wong and Ricky Ortiz. It's no longer Strider and whoever, Snake Eyes, right? That generation is gone. They don't compete at the level. But now it's ChrisCCH, Nephew, Samurai, right? And there's a class of spectator who, no matter what, if it doesn't have those names in it, they pay results no mind. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter. But
bro, people were literally on that 5v5 team, bro. People were like, yo, how is this the West Coast 5v5 team? Like, exactly. Are we serious? I'm like, bro, do you watch Street Fighter?
That's what I'm saying. To me, it feels like you're doing your part to say, hey, just because we weren't those guys before, we are the top dogs now. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like that to me was what that 5v5 was more about, was the new faces of Street Fighter than anything, was trying to fight for respect as the new generation. I wonder what your perspective is on that.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that's actually the main reason why I've said this a lot, that I think West Coast is a very downplayed region. It's because you don't really see the old faces competing anymore. I'm sure there are probably people out there who think that, let's say, I don't know, Justin Wong, Snake Eyes, Ricky Ortiz, all those people that they started like competing against us, they would just destroy all of us. Like I'm sure there are people out there who think that the only reason like I'm winning WNF is because the old players just aren't joining. So I agree absolutely. I know people who are looking at the West Coast team were very confused if they weren't following the West Coast scene, especially with players like Flaquito and Jot. People, I mean, I think one of the people in this call actually was very confused by Flaquito being on the team. That's from the understanding
I wasn't confused. I said, who is Flaquito?
That implies confusion. That's a question.
But I knew who Flaquito was. I was just trolling him.
Yeah, but there's definitely some confusion there about Flaquito being on the team. But I think all things considered, we did pretty well in the exhibition, and not just the exhibition, but the tournament as well. Me and Filipino Man both got top 8, I believe, and I definitely agree with you that there's definitely a new like age of players on the West Coast that don't seem to get a lot of respect. There's other players as well, like I think anyone who's followed the West Coast for a while knows about Mario and Luigi. They're kind of 2 upcoming players that they haven't been competing that much lately, but there's quite a few like newer faces in the FGC that or in the West Coast FGC specifically, that have not been getting a lot of recognition. And I'm glad that Combo Breaker being like the first big event we all went to since the whole pandemic, I was really hoping that we could have a good showing there.
So that said, we mentioned how you've been so dominant. You didn't win the CPT event, which I feel like if I had to guess, like at that time, I think we called Chris, or at least that was my guy. Like I thought for sure you would win. Just you'd been so consistent, but Samurai, like you mentioned, your main rival right now, managed to clutch that one out and take the win. So World Warrior is your shot now to qualify for Capcom Cup, right? There's going to be 5 monthly events. You're going to compete, get your points, qualify for the top 8. How do you feel going into this, and what do you think about like the season ahead of you, and what are your plans? How are you feeling confident-wise and your shots at qualifying for Capcom Cup?
Yeah, I think my shots are pretty good. I have sort of a mini goal at the moment that I want to win every single World Warrior event that's happening, like all 5 of them.
Okay.
So that's kind of just like my goal at the moment, since there's not too much other than like Evo is coming up, but outside of that, there's like not too much to practice for. So I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna make it a goal to win all 5 of these, because like you said, I wasn't able to qualify for CPT, so I do kind of want to show that I still have some dominance over this region. But as far as like my mindset going into it, I actually think my mindset was very bad during CPT, because I think I put way too much pressure on myself. I kind of would say I don't care too much about my placements in them. I know that's like contradicting statements, but just from a mentality perspective, I'm not trying to put any actual pressure on myself to win. I kind of figure whatever happens. If I end up in Capcom Cup, cool. If not, I'll just I'll keep practicing and prepare for Street Fighter 6 and all that. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm just setting a goal and seeing if I can accomplish it. So I think I play a lot better when that's my mentality.
What about like, if you do qualify for Capcom Cup, everything goes as planned, and in the end of the day, if you're playing for 250K, like in the end of the day, you are playing for that much money. So I don't think it'll be possible to, I know what you're talking about, but at those moments, I don't think it's possible to force your brain to not get the gravity of that situation. So I guess when you actually are in a big moment like that, where you kind of have no choice, are you still going to try to just take the pressure off yourself, or are you going to just embrace the pressure?
I mean, I think you can kind of get rid of that pressure to some extent. Like when you really get into the zone, I think by the time you're like playing in that top 8, you get to grand finals. If you're playing well, you kind of get into I guess like a lot of people say, in the flow state sort of mentality. Again, like you said, you're playing at Capcom Cup grand finals. You do know what's on the line, but I think it's definitely possible to just focus entirely on the match, and even though you know in the back of your mind what you're playing for, it's just not something you're actively thinking about during the match. So that's kind of what I try to accomplish, with my mindset.
I can relate to that. So the last thing I want to bring up, bro, is the fact that, me and you have talked about this many a times. But notice what Brian said. This guy has that fire in him. He has that dog, that I'm never going to back down, that chip on his shoulder, so on and so forth. And yet again, here we are today. I think I'm better than so and so and so and so. I want to continue to show dominance, use the word dominance over this region. I will always say, I think that, believe it or not, Big Hollywood and ChrisCCH are very similar entities. And that's where the clash and the respect comes in from my end. I think that for whatever reason, ChrisCCH has not yet, I think you have not yet embraced the Dark Hado. So when do we get Dark ChrisCCH? When we got Dark Neff, he got to the next level. When are we getting it, bro? I mean, we do have it, but halfway.
I mean, I don't really think it's halfway. I think I just kind of talk trash in a different way. If someone thinks they're going to beat me, I just say, like, there's no way you're going to beat me. And then you can put whatever money on it if you think you want to beat me. But, like, that's as far as it goes. I'm not going to be like, I feel like you really get into the sort of trash talk aspect. I don't really care to do that too much. I pretty much just say, if somebody thinks they're going to beat me, I just say, no, you aren't. And you can put, like, whatever amount of money on it you want. If you think you can beat me, that's about as far as it goes for me.
I love that, bro. I love that. Chris, I'll tell you what, bro. Easily, you are one of my favorite players right now. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you give my man a follow and check out the 11 to GM challenge. The one, the only, ChrisCCH.
I'm really excited to see how he prevails with that challenge he set up for himself. Every single World Warrior victory. I would love to see it, to be quite honest. I love when a figure establishes himself as the #1 in their region.